Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the debut record from Konvent, Puritan Masochism, out January 24th on Napalm Records. This album has 9 tracks, 48 minutes in length, and this is an all-female death doom quartet hailing from Denmark. This album, within the genre, sets the bar extremely high, and we're very early in 2020. I was expecting, well actually I had absolutely no expectations going into this record because I really didn't know what this band was going to be like. I didn't know what their sound was going to feel and what kind of mood the record was going to have. So I went absolutely with a clean slate, zero expectations, and I was smacked in the face with this album, track after track. Not only I got smacked in the face, I got kicked in the balls, thrown to the ground, and then ran over with a bulldozer. That's pretty much how it felt listening to this record. And the funny thing about it is, it didn't matter how many times I listened to the record, I felt exactly the same way every single time. It's like the first time I listened to it, I couldn't believe what I heard. The second time I listened to it, it's like, no, that's exactly what I heard, but I still can't believe what I'm hearing. And then the third time, the same thing. It's just such an incredible record from first to last track. What a magnificent job these guys did with their debut record. Really setting the bar extremely high. It's going to be very hard for bands within this genre to really even come close. They're really putting together a record that's going to be one of those defining records of the year, and we're very early, like I said, very early in 2020. Now, as far as the album dynamics are concerned, I felt that this record really has to be broken down into 3 main components, 3 main ingredients that become the lifeline, the life force, the heartbeat, if you will, of this record. Production, vocals, and riffs. To me, those are the 3 main ingredients that really decide where this record goes and that really hold the overall record together. I want to start off with production. The production on this album is absolutely stellar. It's a difficult sound to pull off without letting something being taken over by one of the other elements. Either the vocals sometimes feel like they're in an abyss, or the guitars overshadow the vocals, or the drums overshadow the guitars. When it comes to death doom, it's very hard to pull off the perfect sound that really gets not only what the band wants to transmit musically, but gets the right atmosphere, that gets the right mood. I believe that the production on this album is, like I said earlier, absolutely stellar. They were able to create the right atmosphere with every single track without having one element overshadow the other. The guitars are perfectly in line with the drums are perfectly in line with the guitars, both of those elements perfectly in line with the vocals. Everything is in the right spot with the right volume, with the right intensity in order to get the most out of each of those elements without allowing one to be the main driving force of the record over all others. They all are equal partners. There's not one that dominates over everything else. That to me is very hard to pull off. But when you do, you really create a very solid and memorable record, and that's what you have here. Now, as far as vocals are concerned, I really like the style of vocals, the guttural vocals, and the slight changes to those guttural vocals are just like, it just pierces, the sound just pierces through your ears. I really like that approach on a record that is very linear at times as far as music is concerned, as far as sound is concerned. You really need something to give it a different dynamic, to change certain tracks, to change the direction in which the songs are going. They do that with the vocal style. Obviously, overall, you have these absolutely heavy guttural vocals, but there are some slight changes to the delivery that allows songs to go in different directions, or at least to give you a sense of a dynamic change. Very important for this specific style, for this specific genre, and for this specific record. So I really like the overall vocal approach. It gives life to the album, and it gives the right amount of spice at the right amount of time. So that to me is very important. It really helps transmit the lyrics to the listener. It helps bring the whole record to life, and it allows the album to be very concise, very unique, and just allows the emotions of each and every single song to really jump out to the listener. On the guitar's perspective, when you talk about riffs and guitars, this album, very heavy, drawn out riffs. I really like that style. It allows the album to have a very direct approach, but really have a heavy and somber feel at the same time. The guitar playing throughout the album on every single song it really matches well with everything that's going on, with the dynamic that you're getting from the vocals, with the vocal style changes. It really works to perfection, hand in hand. And I like what they've done on this album. They threw in a few curveballs here and there. Instead of, for example, of adding a solo, they went more with a different style of riff that gives you a sense of where a solo would be. Instead of that, you're getting a different style, a different change, a dynamic change that really changes the mood, the atmosphere, the dynamics of the track. So I really like everything surrounding the guitars. Have a very somber, dark feel to it, matching the overall atmosphere that the album has to offer. Absolutely emotionally heavy, but also they sound heavy. This is a record that is just overall very heavy and drawn out, and a lot of it obviously comes from the vocals, but I believe the main driving force behind that heaviness, that emotional heaviness and that musical heaviness, is really the guitars and how the riffs are played out within the tracks, really elevating each and every single song. Overall, I really feel like this is a spectacular album. Like I said earlier, one of the standout albums of 2020, and it's really early. We're talking about like early January, and I'm already talking about an album that I feel like it's going to be a standout album of 2020. That's how strongly I feel about this record. It just really smacked me in the face. I was not ready for the onslaught that this album had to offer musically and vocally, but it's absolutely magnificent. If you're a fan of the genre and you like something that really pulls at you, that really transports you, but at the same time it demolishes you along the way, this is a record that you have to spend the time and listen to it, because it's absolutely perfection, like I said, from first to last track. As far as songs are concerned, these to me are three standout tracks. The whole album is absolutely magnificent. There's not one single song that you could say, well, I could skip this one. I don't like it too much. No, this album has absolutely 9 perfect tracks. There isn't no skippable track, but these to me were 3 standout tracks that really spoke to me based on the sound that they had, but on the lyrics and how the combination of vocals and guitars came together. I want to start off with The Eye. It has this opening, very dystopian style riff that really becomes the heartbeat of this track. Absolutely phenomenal. Almost has a little bit of a Black Sabbath vibe to it, and really carries that all the way through. The vocal change in this track allows for the song to have a dynamic change without changing the tempo or the mood or the atmosphere of the song. So the vocals, the slight change in those guttural vocals is what gives the song its mood swing. Not a change in tempo, not a change in guitar riff, not a change in melody. No, a change in the vocal style and the vocal approach, ever so slightly. It's really what gives this song a little bit of a switch, a little bit of a change, a little bit of a curveball, if you will. I really like that. The changes that happen within the song are all vocally based, not musically based, and that to me, it's a really cool dynamic that they introduced in this song, The Eye. The abrupt end at the end of the song it does not fade into oblivion. The song just has this really abrupt closure. To me, that really plays well within the mood and the whole atmosphere, the whole vibe that this track has that sense of abruptness to it. So closing off the track that way, to me, works extremely well for this song. Next is Bridge, a more melancholical, cold wind riff. And that's how it sounds. The way the guitar comes in, it just feels like this cold wind breeze, the breeze of death that just kind of sweeps in, blasts open the windows of a house, and it just comes in with beauty and death. That's how this song feels to me. That's how the guitar riff sounds to me when I listen to it. The brutal, dark vocals really add a layer of sadness and brutality, really unsettling when you think of the combination of that style of vocals with that style of riff. The two kind of become parallel to each other. They become almost one. They start off parallel to each other, then moving on to becoming one. And I believe that the merger of those two elements together really creates this unsettling feeling that this song has from the beginning all the way to the end. The mid-tempo change at the halfway mark and the vocal change that adds to it really gives the song a little bit of a boost. It gives the song a little bit of a change. Gives the song something that changes your ears, it changes your perception, and allows to reset the track itself. I really like that. It increases the dynamic, it increases the intensity that the song has. It goes from this more slower moving, drag out body feel to a more intense, to a more aggressive track. I really like that switch, almost going from doom more into death metal. It's a really welcoming switch because the song feels very dragged out, very slow, very methodic. So that change really creates something different. It really allows your ears to reset themselves, and that to me is important on a song that had that much of a slow build up to it. As the track moves forward into the last third, it returns to where it started. So it has this dip, and then it goes back into that more drawn out feel that it started off. It's a song that comes full circle. The way it starts is the way it ends, but that dip there in the middle that moves the song more from a death metal, from a doom metal perspective to a death metal perspective. To me, it's really key because it's the part of the song that really resets everything for the listener. Last but not least, Idle Hands. When the vocals come in this track, they absolutely blast through your ears. They come in with a burst of intensity, of aggression, of energy. The methodic riff that this song has is pure darkness, and then you have the guttural vocals that just destroy everything in this path. So you have this absolute destruction combination of factors that are coming at you from the moment the song kicks off. The dark melody that the riff has is really unparalleled. It really brings a lot of brutality. It adds brutality actually to the way the vocals are coming at you, and that to me is a very cool combination. The riff change during the last third of the song really works well because it almost feels like that's exactly where, on a normal death metal track, for example, or even a doom metal track, that's where you would put a guitar solo. And instead of putting a guitar solo in that spot, they changed the melody of the guitar riff. So by changing the melody of the guitar riff, you didn't have to introduce a solo, but you changed the song completely. You gave the song a little bit of melody there where you would put a solo, but you put a riff that has a little bit of a slight change from the way the rest of the song sounds like, and then you bridge it back into how the rest of the song is, going again full circle, bringing it back to how the song sounded at the start. So I really like that. I really like the idea of replacing a solo with a different style riff that still has some of the elements of the main sound of the song, but just enough to give your ears a change, to create some dynamic changes, but also melodic changes, and it's just enough to create that change that really registers with you and makes you realize how cool that is, that instead of putting a solo there that perhaps would feel out of place for a song that has this kind of approach, this kind of methodic sound, it would perhaps feel like it didn't belong there. So instead of doing that, creating a riff that's slightly changed from the original riff really changes things around and creates a different dynamic for the overall track. Alright guys, this is it. This is Konvent, Puritan Masochism, out January 24th. I absolutely love this record. Go get it. I mean, I cannot emphasize how good this album is, how good this band is, and this is their debut record. Go pick it up, but let me know your thoughts on the comment section. I really want to see if people enjoy this album as much as I did, because I absolutely loved it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.